Okay, class, so today we're going to continue on what we talked about yesterday with the book Moonshot and finding sequencing in the book Moonshot. So all of you guys have note cards with a fun fact about the moon or space on them. I'll point to you guys, and when I point to you guys, just make sure you read that off. So, you go first.
All of space is completely silent.
Okay. Next.
The Apollo astronauts' footprint on the moon will probably stay there for at least 100 million years.
Next.
The moon and its gravitational pull cause high and low tides around the globe.
You.
The moon is moving approximately 3.8 centimeters away from our planet every year.
All right. So something about what Becca said is with the moon and its gravitational pull, that causes high and low tides to on the beaches. So when the water comes farther up or doesn't go as far onto the beach, that's actually caused by the moon. So going into the book, again, we're reading Moonshot. We're trying to find sequencing in it. And so the objective for today, let me read that off real quick, and if you guys would read it with me.
Students will be able to write the sequence in which the rocket breaks apart into the last two parts. They will be able to write this on a timeline.
All right, awesome. So, and then as we read the second part of the book, there's a few vocab words. And the definition of gravity is a force that attracts two objects together. And it's different than weight. Weight is actually how much of a force gravity has on us. And then orbit is a path in which an object takes around another object in space, and it is usually in an oval shape, not a circle. And then a circuit is a complex piece of equipment that makes sure certain parts of something gets the electrical power. So an example would be like your computer or a phone or something like that. So as I read through the second part of the book, make sure you're looking for that sequencing. Again, sequencing is a piece-by-piece, step-by-step process to get to a certain point. So as I read, I will point out those sequencing and just try and think of what you could put on the timeline later. So it climbs the summer sky, it rides a flapping, crackling flame, shakes the earth and makes a mighty roar. Armstrong, Collins, Aldrin ride the fire and thunder, pressed deep in their seats, their bodies as heavy as clay. The rockets below them shed parts as it soars. Bolts explode, engines ignite. First stage, second stage, escape tower gone. The rocket flies lighter, the rocket flies faster. In 12 minutes time, it's 100 miles high. Then after an orbit around the Earth to talk with mission control, to check the course, to check the rocket and ships, the rocket's last stage fires again, pushing the astronauts on. And when the Earth has rolled beneath and rolls behind, let the astronauts go. The Saturn's last stage opens wide and releases Columbia, which was the rocket's tip. And also Eagle, hidden till now, a strange ship, more bug than bird, a black and gold folded spider. So what were the three parts that were just mentioned of the ship that come apart? Back up.
Is it Saturn, Columbia, and Eagle?
Yes, it is. Awesome. So that's a first part of sequencing, is the ship comes apart into three parts of Saturn, Columbia, and Eagle. That could be the first part of sequencing that you put on the timeline. So Michael Collins, Columbia's pilot, turns her back around and locks Columbia to Eagle. Then Armstrong, Collins, Aldrin leave the last of Saturn and travel on in their two small ships joined together as one. They go rushing into darkness, flying toward the moon, far away, cold and quiet, no air, no life, but glowing in the sky. So that could be the second part of the sequence, is Eagle and Columbia locking together to travel on farther. On board Columbia and Eagle, Armstrong, Collins, Aldrin unclick gloves, unclick helmets, unclick the straps that hold them down, and float inside their small ships. They're home for a week. Here there is no up or down. An astronaut can spin in air and turn a floor into a wall or a ceiling to a floor. Here on those sometimes ceilings, walls, and floors everywhere, there are straps and screens and gauges, buttons, handles, hoses, and switches, switches, switches. These are food and clothes packed into corners. There are flight plans, flashlights, pins, and cameras, and they float too. They drift from hands and pockets. That's why there's Velcro everywhere for holding things so they can stay put. another way that this shows sequence is at the start of the book, it talks about them getting into their gloves and helmets. So this is the opposite of them unclicking from their gloves, unclicking from their helmets. So what would you guys think about floating? Like, would it be really cool? Would it be really weird? What would you guys think about it?
It'd be really cool because you can go everywhere and it feels like you're flying.
Anybody else? Yeah.
I agree with Megan. I think it'd be really cool because we don't have that opportunity to fly, and if we were in space, then we would be able to feel that.
Yeah. All right. So here where everything floats, it takes some skill to eat a meal. That ham salad sandwich, wash the crumbs. Soup, it comes in a bag, dry as dust. Fix the bag to the water gun, fill it, mix it, stir it up. Cream of chicken, not too bad, better than the peanut cubes. Here where everything floats, it takes some skill to go to sleep. There are no beds or pillows, no night or day. There is always, though, the hum of circuits, the whir of machines, the thought of where you are, and the thought of where you're going. And one more thing. Here where everything floats, everything, it takes some skill to use the toilet. It takes pipes and hoses and bags, and there's no fresh air outside the window. After a week, this small home will not smell so good. This is not why anybody wants to be an astronaut. So a question I have is, what would it like to have to fall asleep or even go to the bathroom when you're floating? And you can see a picture here of one of the astronauts. He's in a sleep restrainer. So it's like a sleeping bag that you sleep in. So what would you guys think about having to go to the bathroom or sleep or just even eat something while floating? Yeah.
If you're asleep, things might float into you and you keep bumping into things, so you're not like trapped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you're trying to eat, your food might float away.
Yeah, that could be an issue if your food decides to float away as you're trying to eat it. All right. But still ahead, there's the moon, cold and quiet. No air, no life, but glowing in the sky, glowing and growing. It takes them in, it pulls them close. So that's the end of this section. So as I went through the book, I talked about certain sequencing parts. So one part could be the rocket breaking apart into 3 separate parts, something connecting together, taking stuff off, putting stuff on. It could even be something about eating or sleeping or anything that you guys think would be a step-by-step sequence in this book is what you'll use on the timeline. So I'm going to hand this timeline out to you guys. So what you're going to see on the timeline is 3 marks. And just to make sure you guys know what to do, on each mark you'll put something that you found in this section that could be part of a sequence. Make sure it's in order, and make sure that it's in order so that people will know that that step-by-step sequence is right. All right, so do you guys have any questions about the timeline, what we need to be doing?
Could you give us an example?
Yeah, so an example would be like in the morning, before I come to school, first I take a shower. So that would go on the first line, and then on the second line would be I eat breakfast, and then on the third line it would be I brush my teeth. So you guys would just have to pick something from the book that's a step in a process, and you'll put it on each line in order from start to